Everybody, we're back at it here at the Quick Speed Shop. I'm working on my C10 again, and it's a continuation of the last video, bending fuel lines and stuff. But I'm making some progress, and it's awesome. There's a bunch of fuel lines installed in here, so I'll get to how I did that. And first of all, I'm going to go outside. I'm going to go back in time a day, and I'm going to show you how I'm getting ready for winter. Project Green Machine, my F250. Needed some new rubber for winter, so let's go out and look at some tires. I gotta do some outside work getting ready for winter. My F250 here, if you saw the last video I did on, I put a cab corner in it, and I'm halfway into fixing the other one, but I ran out of good weather, except for today. I had to go down to the dentist and see my mom and stuff out of town, so I've got this side prepped, ready to accept the new cab corner and the inner piece on this side, but I haven't got that far yet. But one thing I do need for winter is I need new tires. And I got some right here. Bam! Battery cut out here, so let's start again. These are the tires I'm taking off. These are Goodyear Wrangler Authorities. You can buy these at Walmart. They're a little bit cheaper alternative to other Goodyear Wranglers for trucks. They're E-rated. They wear pretty good. I've got, I don't know, 10,000 miles on them or so, at least. Or maybe more than that. But I spin them a lot in the wintertime, so they wear out halfway decent on the back of my two-wheel drive truck. So I wanted something a little bit more aggressive, and I was going to get some BF Goodrich All-Trains, but I don't like how they changed the tread pattern to this design. It seems like a little closed up, so I went with these Cooper, where are they? Discovery Stronghold AT. They're like a heavy-duty truck tire, E-rated. They're fairly expensive. They're like I think like $230 a tire or something like that. And what I'm doing is I'm swapping rims around. I've set up all my trucks to run the same size rims and tires, except for my Dodge has mud tires on it. But my Ford trucks, I run 245, 75, 15s all the way around. And what I'll do is I'm going to put the back tires from this truck on the front of this truck, because these front tires are old and worn out. And then next year, I'll probably get some, I might switch rims and put Alcoa rims on this truck, because I have some. I'll put these front tires on the blue truck along with the new back tires, and I'll get a whole matching set of tires for the green truck maybe. So that's what I'm working on now, just mixing things around. But right now, I just need to buy 2 tires for winter. And like I said, these are $230 a piece, so my buddy got them a little bit cheaper at his tire shop, but I got almost $500 in 2 truck tires, but I need them for winter. They look like they're good biters. They got a decent tread. They got a lot of sidewall tread, so they'll be good in the snow. And you can see these guys are not going to be good in the snow because they've only got less than a quarter inch of tread left. So they're going to go on the front of my blue Ford. You can see the rims are all nasty with fluid film. I'm going to try to clean some of that off. But speaking of fluid film, I'm back here just doing a little touch-up while I've got the truck apart. I took my drums off, I checked the brakes, I adjusted them just a little bit. And these are painted drums I bought when I put new brakes on it, and the paint has started to come off them. So I'm going to go ahead and spray some flat black paint on there, Rust-Oleum flat black to restore them. And that's going to dry here in a minute, and then we're going to fluid film under here while we got the wheel off, just so I can get at it. You see I put some anti-seize on the threads, and I put anti-seize behind the drum so the drum won't stick. I'm just going to blow paint on this to help the fluid film stick. Fluid film bites into flat black, and anything you can do before winter, throw a little rust prevention action on stuff. Obviously these are brake drums, so they warm up pretty good. When you hit the brakes, they get hot, so the paint gets burned off them eventually, but we can reapply some Rust-Oleum right now. Just a little, a little bit. It's better than nothing. So we got them painted up. I'm going to go ahead and take my fluid film. I'm going to dust it in here. You can see I've got a ton of it built up on the side of the frame. It's pretty thick, but I'm going to hit the leaf springs here. You see a little bit of orange. These are wearable parts, and the water sprays around here. It's hard to get to them. Usually I spray it out and take the wheels off. So I'm going to go ahead and hit it with fluid film while it's apart like that. But I should also take this paint over and the front of the blue truck the hubs are a little rusty on the drums, we can go ahead and blow some paint on those just because we're here, because we can. I just put new brakes not too long ago on the front of this. Apparently I didn't paint the drums, I just put them on bare. But it's got new calipers, new rotors. But this doesn't get driven in the winter, so the brakes on this will last forever. We don't get rusty. This is just surface rust from sitting around. But we'll go ahead and restore it with a little bit of because they're right here and we can. That looks better already. But there's a smashed bug in there. Yeah, see, the brakes are like brand new. I put calipers, hoses, front brake line. This truck's good. I'll probably go ahead and grease it while I got the wheels off and throw a little bit of fluid film on the inside of the frame. This truck doesn't get driven in the winter like I just said, but it does sit outside all year long, so it'd be nice to put a little bit of fluid film underneath it just for some rust prevention, moisture prevention. Never hurts to take the time to do something to make it just a little bit better than you left it. Oh, it's awful windy over here. We're gonna have to get close with the paint. Like I said, flat black I use because of fluid film. When I spray fluid film, it bites into it. Obviously, I'm not going to fluid film the front brakes on this truck, but I had the paint out, so might as well use it. Throw a little bit on there. It's better than nothing. This truck runs full hubcap, so all this is hidden anyways, but you can see this frame, I sprayed it with fluid film once or twice, but it's just got, this is factory grunge from like oil leaking and stuff from the truck itself. This truck is actually very, very, very rust free, except for like some pinholes in the sheet metal of the bed. But the frame and stuff, the frame is very nice. That's what I'm working on out in the driveway. I'm going to continue to put my tires on. I'll show you what it looks like when they're all on. Then we're going to go back in here. I got some steel brake line, some 3/8 line when I was out getting the tires. So let's go and try to bend up a 3/8 fuel line with my bender, a steel line, and see if that does any better. I lost the light here, but I've got them on here. I cleaned everything up. I've actually sprayed the outside of the wheels and the hubs and the inside of the wheels with fluid film. I hit my frame here. I scraped some loose stuff off. They had a little bit of, sometimes this frame had a little bit of rust started and you'll get surface rust behind the fluid film. I scraped it down. I painted the brake drums and sprayed those. So this guy's all set. And check it out here on the front. Here on the truck, I got these going. I'm going to clean some of the grunge off the wheels or just leave it. I'm not sure, but I got some tread back on the front. The tires that were on the front of here were from like 2010 or 2011, so 15 years old. And here's another set of them back here that's still going. This has got some more tread, but these are older too. Yeah, what's that one at 2010? So I'm due to swap out. This tire was a spare that was inside. I think the other side is newer, but this truck, well actually it used to haul a lot of weight with the dump box. What's the date on this one? But these are E-rated, they're super heavy duty, also 2010. So they're about shot, they're down. What I used to do was at work, all our super duty plow trucks and stuff used to run this size tires. So these are tires off those trucks. But now that all the trucks in the world come with like 17 or 18 and 20 inch tires on them, I don't have a source for 16 inch tires anymore because they'd take them off when they looked, a little bit better than that because they'd put new ones on for winter to plow in the winter. So I'd get them, instead of throwing them away, I'd take them home and I'd run them for a few thousand miles in my trucks. And that's what I did. I'd cycle them all the way around. So that's why I standardized on Ford truck rim size and tire size so I could just keep swapping tires around. But the 16-inch tires are dried up, so now I'm forced to buy new ones. These tires I bought like 3 years ago. I had a blowout with this truck on the way to Hershey, so I had to buy a pair of back tires on the road, and I bought these Kelly Edge ATs. They were on the back, but these have good tread. They've been on the front. They got like, I don't know, half the tread left. They're really good. They steer good in the snow. They don't really slip and slide. So I'm running them on the front. And then we've got our new Discovery Stronghold Discover AT on the back. So this thing should rip it now in the winter. Okay, it's actually the next night here. I've just been tinkering a little bit here and there. It's cold and rainy out. I actually had to turn the furnace on up there first time this year just to put a little heat back in the garage. It was down to like 52. Now we're back up to 64. I don't want the garage to get cold because we're going to be doing paint and body work, so I got to keep the temperature up at the price of my wallet. But now let's go over here, and I also procured a piece of 3/8 steel line. So let's try to bend this with the bender, see if I have any better luck. It's from AutoZone, so it's the green coated steel line. Sometimes you can buy the bare line at like Advance Auto Parts and other places. I'm not sure what O'Reilly has because they've only got one store near me and I haven't been there except one time. But AutoZone has this green coated line. So I'm going to try my big bender first, or my original bender. And hopefully this bends without kinking it, because kinks are a bummer. I'm just going to put a little kick in the top to match. How does it bend? Oh, yep. How's it looking? Nice. Oh, it does flatten it just a little bit. It does flatten it out just a little bit, so we're going to be trying it. We'll start at the top here, the easy part. Go from there. I got a 6-foot piece, so I got enough for 2 tries probably. Let's see what happened. Woo! It bent it without kinking it. Look at that. It's necked down a little bit, but it kind of did it. So without hitting the truck, how are we? Ooh, that's money. That's close enough for government work. We got to go just a touch more. Just a touch more, which I might not even do, because it is what it is. So we might get away with this. There-ish. Now I got to flip this around and kink it back the other way. Okay. Ooh, that kind of shoot. That. Oh no. Just screwed up. It kinked it. I couldn't see it. Dang it. Man, I'm getting real close just buying these lines. This is getting real. This line was like $20. I'm getting real close to just buying these because this is really starting to irritate me. Son of a gun. Well, all it took was turning off the camera when you guys weren't watching me, making me nervous. And I ended up making the line. It's very, very close. It's got a couple, I won't call them kinks, a couple little goofy spots, but it's not any more neck down than the factory line, which is pinched pretty good when I got looking at it at the bends. So here it is. I've made it. I use my little bubble flare, or my flaring tool, to put a little bubble on the end of it with a bubble flare side. It's a little chunky, but it fits the tank pretty good. I think I gotta trim. I gotta take about a 1/2 inch off this nipple up here, but it fits under the frame. The lines are real weird. They like hit the cross member in the frame. Then the fuel line goes to the front of the cross member where the trailing arms attach, but the vents and behind it, and they came out right into the cross member from GM. I don't know why they did it that way. Probably they made some and made it, and they put it together and realized, hey, like one's hitting the other. But that's why you got all these weird bends. This one's got to come, like the cross members here where this is, and it like pokes across the side. And anyways, got it done. Finally made it. Had about that much of tubing left that I was able to trim off the end of it, but got her made, and it'll fit in there. Once I put it in permanently, I've got to kind of like tweak it around with the grommet that goes on here through the floor, and I'll lock it in place and just kind of put it in once and be done with it with a new rubber line. But before that, I've got to change the sending unit and stuff like that. I've spent so much time bending brake lines and ruining them that I've eaten up all my time probably to make this video by the time I got done monkeying around with everything else. So actually you can see here this screw hole here, that's where that clip on the line goes, and it comes up through this line, bends around, and goes in here. Obviously I'll put a new piece of hose on. But I got looking at the sending unit here where they go into the tank, they kinked that thing way off going down into the sending unit, so that's kind of weird. But the new sending unit will go in there, and we'll have the other line coming off it. So I've got to make one more line. I'm gonna have to drill another hole in the floor, hopefully like here. Maybe that's the cross member is like here, so I'll come up behind the cross member with a line and run around, unless I can bend it around and go the other way. But everything fits real tight. Guys, here we're back at it in the shop, working on C10 stuff, and I've got the seat in here. I was talking last time about the seat, and here it is. Bam! This is a seat that was in my other truck that I bought first, the brown one. Put some stuff out of the way here. It's blue. It's got Chevy bow ties sewed into it. And it's like, I don't know if you call it houndstooth or whatever. I don't know. I guess this is original upholstery, I would guess. But anyways, it needs to be recovered because here's the bottom. And it looks like it's original, I would guess, with hog rings and stuff. It's like a bright blue, which would have been the right color for the truck if it wasn't completely junk. So here's the back. It looks pretty good. It actually is just worn, but the foam doesn't appear to be really ruined or anything. Seems to be pretty good. Here's the bottom, and on the driver's side, I got a problem. There's a big hole in the foam. Now, it's also heavy. Now, I wasn't even sure. Oops. I wasn't even sure if what year seat this was because it had been changed. But I looked at the pictures on the Chevy forums, C10 forums, and you can tell by the seat tracks, you can tell by the way that it is. And this curved piece here, that's kind of like a half of an S, is a 71 to 72 seat frame. So it's the right seat frame for what we need, for what we're doing. And it's not too bad, aside for the foam being trashed here on the driver's side. It's got one broken spring right here. One piece is missing, but the foam is kind of wrecked. And you can see there's a hole there, and there's actually mouse crap in it. And the mice probably ate a hole in it, and there's some debris that's fallen out of it. So I need to get at least a seat cover and probably some foam. Now I know that you can repair the foam if you can get some. Yeah, it's got a big hole in it right here. It's missing a lot of foam right there. So I know I watched Kevin Tate's on Paintication, repaired a OBS Chevy seat by just gluing foam in with some adhesive and then shaving it and then recovering it. Because the foam kits for these are like $300, and then the seat cover is like another like $400. So it's a ton of money to fix one of these seats, which is kind of crazy. And I looked into all kinds of different options because I put a different seat in it, whatever. I kind of need it to be the right seat for the job, obviously, because we're trying to do something that's decent. So looking over here at my dad's truck, you can see it's got the full blue bench seat. It's hard to tell probably for you guys, but it's a blue full bench seat. So I can get the covering from like CJ Pony Parts or LMC Truck, or even Summit, I think, has them. Like I said, the covering's like $400. A full foam kit back and bottom is like $330. So I don't really need the full foam for the back, obviously. But so I think what I'll do is probably order a seat cover and the hog ring pliers and some hog rings and pull the cover off, and probably start on the back because it's easier to recover the back, and then take the bottom off and see, maybe just get some foam and fix the divot in there. But I'm thinking about that. I'm going to take the seat tracks off, paint them black because they're kind of surface rusty. But if you notice from last time to this time, I changed this fuel sending unit, and I'll show you why. Here's the old one. And the first reason I bought a new one was I wanted a return line. And last time I said I'm using a 400 small block Chevy fuel pump that has a return line built into it to resist vapor lock. So they sell these new sending units. I got this one from Summit Racing for $31, and I'm glad I did it, because look at the original one. The sock is completely gone on the original sending unit. The float's kind of nasty there, but the gauge didn't work, but I'm pretty sure that they had the wiring hooked up wrong when I took the truck apart. So anyways, for 31 bucks, I got a new one when we had our order from Summit that I unboxed in the other video. But here's the sending unit for the dual one there. Summit Racing RP20025. And it's got the dual units here. So it's got a 3/8 fuel line, and it's got a 1/4 inch vent return line. So that's all installed, ready to go. I ran the new fuel line down. This truck here came from the Carolinas, so the frame is very, very nice, very little minimal pitting or anything, and it was painted and restored before I got it. But it has original fuel lines and original brake lines on them, which is fine, and I was going to reuse them all. You can see I've pulled them off here, just the vent. This is the 5/16 vent line that goes to the vent on the tank. But I pulled the fuel lines off because I was working on them, and I got down and I was looking inside the lines. The lines are, oops, here we go. The lines are rusty inside, if you can see that. It might be hard to see. I can't tell if you can see it. Or, yeah, you can probably see it. See how rusty the lines are? And I was like, man, I really don't want to suck a bunch of rust in my carburetor, even though I'm going to run a fuel filter. So another curiosity is, this is the fuel supply line up to the engine. So this bottom of this nipple here hooks onto the bottom of this line, and it's 3/8 coming out of the tank. It's 3/8 line, which I took off and replaced here. The original line here is 3/8. But then the line on the frame was 5/16. So for whatever reason, they went to 5/16. And I'm like, well, if we already got a sending unit that's 3/8 and a tank line that's 3/8, why wouldn't we run a 3/8 line all the way up to the carburetor? So I'm like, got curious about the fuel pump. So I pulled out the fuel pump here, the Carter. This is the 400 fuel pump. Where's the part number? Right here. M639. Wanted to verify on the fuel pump I'm going to be using. This is a Carter one, like I said, for 400 small block. So the threaded line goes to the carburetor, and this line here is from the line from the tank. And you can see here it's also 3/8. So right there, bam, bam. So I'm like, well, we don't want 5/16 in the middle if everything else is 3/8. It kind of defeats the purpose of having a 3/8 line if you're going to have 5/16 in the middle of it. So, I bought this on Rock Auto. Unfortunately, I'd already bought one on Rock Auto apparently, and I forgot. So now I got two, but I'll use the other one on the yellow Buick when we swap the blueprint motor in. So we'll be good to go there. So I've just been over here, bam, bending up a new 3/8 fuel line. Luckily, I was able to bend this without kinking it real bad. And I used my hydraulic flare tool and just kind of like swedged the end in kind of like a bubble flare type fitting, and just put a little nipple on the end of it to kind of match the factory action for the hose. What I'm going to do is the vent line, I just took it out and painted it because it wasn't painted on the frame side. But the vent line doesn't flow any fuel, it just moves air. So I'm going to blow it out and maybe spray some WD-40 or some oil in it and blow it out and reuse this line. This is the one that attaches to this line here. And I'll blow some air through this. And that's the one that comes off the tank here on the top, just a vents around and vents up to the core support. So this one, in theory, will never have fuel in it, just fuel vapor. So I'm going to blow the rust out of this, reinstall this on the frame. It's really nice shape. There's not any really reason to replace it. And since it doesn't carry fuel, whatever. But the supply line I'm making out of the copper nickel alloy. And then I need to add a line, a 1/4 inch line for the return line of the tank, which I'm going to make out of copper nickel alloy. And it's going to run up and just kind of hang out in space here because the fuel pump goes about here on the engine. Let's see. Yeah, right around in here because here's the motor mount. So I'm just going to deadhead the 3/8 line and the 1/4-inch line here for the fuel pump, and then we'll hook them up, obviously, when we put the engine in. So I got my 1/4-inch line bent up here. I got the part that's going to hook up to the fuel tank under the truck. And then what I did is I just laid it along the stock feed line because it goes to the same place, and I kind of guesstimated it a couple inches long because we got to put some bends in there. And what we're going to do is go under the truck. Under the truck here, we're going to feed it up to the front, boop, like that. And can you see what I'm doing? I think so. It's going to clamp to the, using the factory clamps because I haven't put the 3/8 line in yet. So we're going to clamp it in place. I'm going to leave it off just behind the 3/8 fuel line. This is the 3/8 line for the tank. I'm going to leave it just behind that. And then I'm just going to form it as we go up to the front. And kind of use the clamps to hold it in place. And then we got these guys that I took off. I'm going to reuse. I painted them up a little bit. They span the 5/16 vent line, the 1/4-inch rear brake line, and they did the 5/16 original feed line there, but we're going to clamp this guy in place with it. Where'd the hole go? Somewhere there's a bolt hole. Where'd the bolt hole go? Oh, right there. So I'm just going to use factory action to clamp it back in place. I got all the hardware and stuff I took out. I can reuse that since it's already painted. And it is what it is. It's going to be close, like height, diameter-wise. This 1/4-inch is just a tiny little bit smaller than the 5/16 line that I replaced it. But these clamps are made for 3-wide action. So it should, in theory, work. Oh, we got to pull this down. Why is that fighting me? I got to get everything lined up and clamped in place. It should go, and if it doesn't clamp it tight all the way, I can always use a couple of, what do you call them, zip ties or something to hold it. But I think once we get it going, we're going to be all set. So I'm simply just going to use the clamps to hold everything. Where I want that guy to be, about there. And we'll clamp her right into place here with a factory clamp and see what we got. Why am I doing it that way? Because that's right, the emergency brake cable. Oops, oops, oops. Can't see nothing. How are we looking? Oh yeah, that'll hold it in there. It'll once we put some bends in it and get it factory into the factory location, it'll be fine. There we go. That doesn't look too bad. And the 3-way clamp. I mean, this, like I said, this frame is from the Carolinas somewhere, and it's unheard of for me in New York State to have original clips that are not rusted, still have the paint on the inside of them. You know, original hardware, original brake lines, original fuel lines, except for the ones I replaced because they had that surface rust inside from sitting. But just to be able to use all these original clamps and bolts and stuff and finger screw them together, this is like what Southern Cal... Oh! Almost got me. This is like working like on something from Southern California. Like you see on all the old hot rod TV shows where they're like, oh yeah, it's pretty rusty. And then they're like, they take it apart with hand tools and like thread it apart. That's how I feel like. I feel like I'm, all of a sudden I've been transported to like LA or whatever. It's unbelievable. We'll take advantage of it. And might as well reuse the factory stuff. Why not? We got it right here and it's in good shape. Might as well use it. The 3/8 line, I'm going to run it up the top of the frame here. I can get some 3/8 P-clamps, and I can invert them and run the line right up along the tank and come over here. And I don't know if you can see, but right here, this is the 3/8 line, so I'll just turn it out here. We'll put a short piece of hose there. The 1/4-inch line, we got to go up in a minute and drill a hole through the floor for the grommet. It's going to come down like mirroring the 3/8 line, and we'll duck in here somehow Or maybe I'll duck in over here. Where's the drive shaft go? Maybe I'll loop around here. Anyways, we'll get it in there, and pick the 1/4-inch line up. Like I said, this is the return line off the fuel pump, and the bottom line here is the factory vent line. So I've added that 400 small block Chevy Carter pump. So we're gonna have a return line for bleeding off pressure from the fuel pump back to the tank, and that prevents vapor lock on the higher temperature small block Chevys or tight engine compartment ones. But anything that had a 400 got the return line to let the vapors go back to the tank. Okay, it's a couple days later here, and let me show you what I did with the lines. I got that 3/8 line installed, and just off camera I've been monkeying around a little bit. I did the return line for the tank for the new sending unit, 1/4-inch, and I just bent it up. I had extra grommets from the parts truck, so I added a 3rd hole here, and I stuck the fuel line down through, the return line I should say, down through there. So now we got 3 lines to our tank system. We got our vent line, we got our 3/8 supply line, and we got a 1/4-inch return line from the fuel pump. I also got the lines run up here, and this copper nickel alloy line, you don't want it to like flex around too much, and because it's so soft it can work harden and break. So I've tried to keep it like boondoggle together, and I'll show you on the truck here in a second. But up here I've got a P-clamp holding it to the frame, and I zip tied the 3/8 and the 1/4-inch line together just so they don't vibrate as much. And then up here, not exactly sure where the fuel pump is-ish. It's like, see this cut out in the frame? The fuel pump goes here somewhere. I'm just not sure how up and down the lines are. So these are just kind of floating in space, but I did add, there's going to be rubber hose obviously, but I'll probably have to add some kind of clamp up here at the ends to take some of this out of it, or I can actually maybe zip tie it right to the other line that'll lock it in. So they're just kind of floating in space. So let's go under the truck. We'll take a look at the what happened under here. Okay, under the cab, I've been putting lines together. I ran out of hose clamps, so I got to get a couple more clamps. And I'd like to get the fuel injection style, but I put worm drive clamps on here for now. Here's the 3/8 line coming down. Here's my new 1/4-inch return line. And here I've used all the factory clamps, reinstalled it, but the 3/8 line I've mounted up to the top of the frame because originally it would have been in this stack of lines, but I ran the 1/4-inch return line in there, so I added new 3/8 clamps to that, got her installed, got a piece of brand new rubber 3/8 hose, clamp between the two, and then the 1/4-inch line, I'm not going to stick it on until I get some more clamps, but is going to be here, and as you can see it's out of the way of the drive shaft. It's up over the top of the frame rail, and it goes up into the floor through the grommets there. So we're all good in the hood there, but this guy will just jam on here, and I've zip tied these together so this can't vibrate at all. It's nice and stiff. It's got a little bit of movement, which you want for flexing the cab to the frame, but everything's locked in good. It's clamped quite a bit all the way down, and then I'll just jam this guy on here. Along the frame here, we put a new piece of fuel hose on the vent line. For whatever reason, I've got a factory hose here with 2 pieces of the line, so I stuck them back on. But you can see the 3/8 line, I've got it run up here, and then came out of the original clamps with the 1/4-inch, and then ran it up with the 3/8 line, and we saw the upper end up there. So we're all run down the frame, ready for action, and then when we get the engine installed, we'll finish it up there. But a clean fuel line install here, as clean as I can do it, good enough for driver quality action, and these lines will last forever since they're copper nickel alloy. So that pretty much wraps up the fuel line and fuel tank installation on the truck finally. Last time I did a video, not a lot of people watched it. Apparently nobody cares about fuel tanks in the cab, but it is what it is, the thing I had to do to get it done to go. So that's done. I've been procrastinating sand and body filler, that's why I've been tinkering on stuff, but this is all little things that need to be done. I cleaned up my door latches here, my striker pieces, those are painted. I used the, where is it? Oh, I lost the can. Anyways, I used the Vice Grip Garage Restore It Black paint on there. So I'm kind of a quandary what I should do here. I need to, like we talked about the seats, I found a piece of foam, 1-inch foam. I think when I get the cover, I'm going to take this off and see if I can do a repair just because the foam for these seats is horrendously expensive. It's like 300 and something bucks for the foam. And if I got this 1-inch blue, like real high quality foam. If I can like fix this with some spray adhesive and foam and carve it back into shape, I think I'm going to want to do that versus buying a new seat pad because they're so expensive. I just got to keep looking. Maybe if I just get a bottom one, because the back is fine. The back doesn't need to be fixed. The foam is good there. So I've got to order the seat cover and hog ring pliers and some hog rings. So we'll be recovering the seat real fast coming up soon. We'll get that in the truck since we got the tank done. Do I want to wait until I Herculine the floor though? Not really, because I can, yeah, the seat, you'll be able to Herculine it around there. I might go ahead and paint this little riser flat black here, because this is where the seat bolts down and the seat actually hangs over to here a little bit. It would be easier to Herculine without the seat. Anyways, I didn't want to Herculine it until I had the rocker panels painted. And one of my big problems, like I've been saying, is I've lost the weather now. Now we're almost into November, and it's got very cold out. I got the heat on in the garage. We're up to 65. But, you know, these panels are like probably like less than 65 degrees. And maybe if I get sanded and primered up on them, and we have a little bit of warmer spell where maybe it's like in the 60s in November, and then it, you know, I got to get the heat on, but then like flies come out, I can hear them binging around in here, and it doesn't really kill them off because it doesn't get cold in here like it used to before I had heat. So I'm battling that, but there's less other bugs, so I don't know. But the temperature is a big factor now of painting. This isn't a body shop, and it doesn't have, you know, it is what it is. So the big hang up is the stupid doors. So if I get them done and painted and not have them run, like if I paint it when it's cold out or cold-ish and the doors are cold and stuff and the paint is more likely to run, which is going to be a problem. I don't want to have runs. I would rather paint it when it's, you know, 75 degrees, 80 degrees in here, not 60. For now, I'm in the part of the build where it takes forever to do the little stuff and the weather's not cooperating, and it's been raining for several days. It went for like 2 months without rain. Now it like rains like almost every day, which is killing me when I got to do stuff that's outside instead of working on this. So I'm doing the best I can. What you guys can do to help me out is watch the videos. Let it run in the background. You don't even got to watch it. Just click play and walk away. But been struggling with project burnout on this truck, and as soon as I get over the hump of those doors, we're going to be able to hang them, and then we're going to go full bore into engine swaps. I'll get the Buick in here in a couple of weeks, pull the engine out, do the engine swap, get the engine ready for this. I got to get the transmission ready. We're going to do the suspension, the whole 9 yards, and fun stuff. Get this thing half back to going. Then we're going to work on some other cars over the winter. Dial up the Buick, get that done with a new engine. 40 Mercury's got to come in for the transmission to come out, so I'm going to have to put another transmission in that, monkey around with that. Might work on the 40 Mercury a little bit more. What else I got to work on? I got too many things to do to think about. That's it. This was a long one. We'll see you guys next time. I got to get over the hump of painting them doors. And we'll see you next time. Stressing out and getting burned out at the Quick Speed Shop.